Welcome to Our Soul Whisper with Kathy Belmont and co-host Dr. Pat, a sacred space for self-discovery, healing, and transformation. At the heart of Our Soul Whisper is the sacred truth. When we pause and listen inward, the soul always speaks. This show offers a safe, empowering space where those whispers are heard, honored, and lovingly guided into full expression. Each episode invites you to be curious about yourself and the reality you're in, while gently reminding you that you are exactly where you need to be. Let today's message settle in your heart. Maybe even journal about it. And if something resonates, peace, clarity, or insight, pass it along to someone whose soul might be calling for the same. Keep listening inward. Your soul knows the way. Our Soul Whisper starts now. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Pat, and I get to take this amazing journey. And today, I'm telling you, this is the story of my life and the life of many. The divine delay. When the universe says, not yet. Kathy's going to walk us through this, but you should know a little bit about Kathy Belmont. First of all, throughout the show, you're going to hear some wisdom, you're going to hear some insight, but I want you to also know that Kathy is a person you could reach out to help you move things along. It doesn't matter where you are, she'll meet you there. You know, she is a certified soul integration coach. She's also a certified life and spiritual coach and a lifetime of experience. And when you bring this all together, what you see is someone dedicated to understanding, healing, coaching, and transformation. And today's show topic, Kathy, is perfect. The divine delay when the universe says, not yet.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Patton. Hey, everyone. I wanted to talk about this because, it's perfect. And I've had times in my life where, I put my intention out there, I prayed, I did my envisioning and all the things, and yet nothing was happening. And so I just really wanted to talk about that, and where we sometimes think it's a no, or maybe we're doing something wrong, or we begin to doubt ourselves. Maybe we can look at that from a different perspective. And so just really want to look at, how we can look at it differently. And so, a lot of times when we get this inspiration to do something, right? Our mind captures something, or we get this spiritual download of, oh my gosh, this is something that I really want to do. And we kind of do the things, and all of a sudden there's a pause and there's a stop. And I think one thing that can happen is we can get this kind of high vibrational idea, but our body, our nervous system isn't quite ready yet. And so it's really kind of understanding, maybe from a spiritual and biological aspect, that I think it's wonderful that we have this idea, and it's that idea of giving our bodies and our nervous system time to just digest it a little bit, time to take it in. And it's also, looking at where are we vibrationally. We want the job, the relationship, that abundance, whatever that is for you. And yet we may still be holding on to beliefs of scarcity or fear or not enoughness. And so those are considerations too, to look at, why there's the not yet.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
also just letting go of some of the baggage. It's making room for. I may have shared this before. I had my very best friend a long time ago, and I remember I was talking to her about some dating and relationships and all that, and she said, "Well, Kathy, if you want something new to come in, you got to let the other one go." And I've just always taken that in other areas of my life, and so that's really, what we're talking about. Where in your life can you release something to let that new in?
Yeah.
And so different perspectives on the not yet. And it's really not a no. And then this is, where life coaching can really assist in what's in the way, getting clear. What is it clear that you want? And then what's there to let go of? What's maybe a limiting belief that's keeping you from realizing, because it's already there for us. The potluck is right there. We just have to realize it. We just have to clear our senses so we can see and smell it and taste it.
Yeah, I will tell you this, though. I love what you said because one of the things I'm struck by, which we don't talk about enough, is when two or more are gathered. And, I went through a large part of my life thinking I could do it all by myself, everything. And then I was reflecting on an article I was writing today, and I listed all the people that supported me along the way.
Mm,
So, what's the realization? Could I have done it on my own? I don't think that's the way it works. And I don't think there are many people that can do that. But what we don't realize, we all have these blind spots. And sometimes, and I know this, when I work with my coaches, they will point something out to me and I'll look at them like, what?
mm,
And then I'll have the realization, oh yeah, that thing. But part of this is getting a hook on what you're going to talk about, this alignment situation, right? I had a vision for this network in 2001. I bought the domain,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't start out with the network. I started out something different. So, can you walk us through this idea of how do we close the alignment gap and what role does fear play?
Yeah, and I think something I want to mention too is a lot of times, when we have these limiting beliefs or we have something in the way, it's teaching our nervous system, it's nurturing ourselves again that it's safe to do something. And so, we hear about, neurons that wire together, fire together, and really allowing ourselves to make repeated actions to really help us feel safe. And so when fear takes the wheel, what happens is our ego gets uncomfortable. The ego wants to know what's happening and it wants to be in control. And I think there's a lot of stuff out there about the ego. I like to think of it as it protecting us, as it's saying, okay, remember this experience. And I think we can appreciate that. And then we can also say, yes, however, we can do something differently here. And so it's an opportunity to really look at that. And so, it comes from a place, and when we try to start to force things, we try to push things before they're ready to be opened. We want to force that door open, and because we're afraid there's not going to be another one there. We're afraid that there's not going to be another opportunity before us. And that's so far from my truth as far as the belief that there's an abundant universe and that we always have another opportunity. It may look a little bit differently. It may come through a different person or another sign or whatever, but it's always going to be there. And it's really keeping ourselves open to that we can see that. And so it's
Yeah.
not a matter of falling behind or something's wrong. It's really just seeing the signs of, again, where are we coming from? Do we want to come from that fear? Do we want to come from someplace else? And that can make a difference to whether we want to just kind of knock on the door and see if it's there, anyone's there yet, versus trying to push it open.
I tell you, I remember a quick story, a childhood story. I love Christmas. I've always loved Christmas. We always went to Rockefeller Center, but I remember one Christmas in particular, I wanted something. I really did. And I asked Santa for it. And I remember getting up one night to go to the bathroom, a little kid, and I went under the tree and I saw all the packages. They were already there. And
Mm.
I remember pulling the tape back on the big one because I asked for a big one that was big. I remember, how you carefully peel the tape back? Well, I was a kid, I didn't work, but I pulled it back. And in there wasn't what I wanted.
Mm.
It wasn't there yet. And I went to
Mhm.
bed so disappointed. I mean, this may not be relatable to a lot of people, but it wasn't there yet. And my experience waking up the next day and not experience the joy
Mm,
that
mhm.
I always had experienced. And the reality was, it wasn't there yet. And what I
Mm,
got in its
mhm.
place was a little card because what I wanted was delayed due to a storm. And
Mm,
Santa wrote
mhm.
me a note. Okay,
Mm.
we know it's not Santa, but you see, right?
Yeah,
But that's how you let something destroy
yeah,
something you so enjoy.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
stories we make up and the
yeah,
fear
yeah.
Santa doesn't like me. I mean, but this is how we
Mhm.
carry it forward. And it could happen in a job. It could
Mhm.
happen any point in time, a relationship, like
Yeah,
you said, a loved one.
yeah,
But it takes its
yeah.
toll on our body and our nervous system, doesn't it?
It does. And that story really brings up a lot. And thanks for sharing that, Dr. Pat, because it's really, we come from this place of wanting something, this attachment, especially to how we think it should look. And I recently had an interaction with someone where I had some communication, and something was okay. Let's get this rolling, and then there was nothing. And I actually made a call, and it hung up. And so I made a story around that. And next time I saw this person, I said to myself, okay, well, I can go along and pretend it didn't happen or make up these stories, or somehow, like we think we talked in the last episode, there's going to be this little thing there that's nothing quite complete or clear. And so I actually just went up to the person and said, hey, I reached out. This is what happened. Um, Anything that we need to clear up or talk about? And it was a totally clearing conversation. No, Kathy, I was just in a really tough spot and I apologize. And everything since then has been very smooth. Communication's been great. So, my sister shared with me a long time ago, Kathy, you don't have all the information. We're only coming from where we are, our perspectives, and those I go back to beliefs and those filters. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. We come from filters. And when we can look at where those are limiting us, where we're holding on to things, that's where we make our next choices. And that's why we wonder why is my tomorrow the same as today or yesterday? Because we're coming from that same place. And so that's why the importance of this conversations, and a lot of these topics I think can come down to the same thing. What's inside there to be looked at? And if you really want to have your life be differently, if you want to be different, let's look what's in there and filtering how you're responding, how you're reacting, how
Mhm.
you're seeing people. Are you really seeing the person for who they are, or from how you experienced them yesterday?
Yeah. And this little child under the tree pulling back the tape, there was a cost to that. There was a cost there
Mhm,
to me personally, right? And it took me a really long time as a child. Now I'm older, I see it through a different lens.
mhm,
But what it did for me is gave me a different view about Santa Claus. Santa Claus.
mm,
Could I trust Santa Claus next year?
mhm,
I mean, I'm kind of making a
mm,
thing about it, but remember, I'm a kid.
mhm.
Like I'm 7 years old, right? And we don't stop forming opinions. We don't stop and say, I'm going to wait till I'm older. Oh, until I don't trust something. No, we start to
Right.
form these things.
Yeah.
The ego is 24/7. It doesn't care what
Mhm.
age you are, it doesn't care where you come from. It is always with us.
Yeah. And I think Dr. Pat at age 7, actually, I think that I heard that that's when we really start um, forming getting into our limiting beliefs, and,
Yeah.
and starting to really make society and others more important. Because up to the age we're born, up to 7, we're still in spirit. We're still learning, and we're as children, we're soaking everything up. And 7 on up is when we start,
Yeah.
things start happening, things start changing.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful, you talked about the cost, Dr. Patton. There's a story that I love to share and also hear and be reminded of. And that's, this transformation from, a caterpillar to a butterfly. And there's this stage, the chrysalis stage. And when you watch the butterfly emerge from its cocoon, it looks like it's struggling. It looks like, gosh, it's having a hard time there. And really, what's happening is it's building the strength so it can fly. The very purpose of it emerging from the cocoon is that it can strengthen its wings to fly. And I actually watched a video because I really wanted to visualize that. And what was really beautiful, which can add to what we're talking about today, is when the butterfly emerges, there's other steps. It fills its wings from fluid from its abdomen. Its wings are small when it comes out. It needs that step to build its wings to expand. And then it takes another few hours for its wings to dry. And so when we have something that we want, something we want to happen in our life, whatever that is, it's that process. It's the clearing out, and then it's allowing our wings to be puffed up, and it's allowing the universe to carry us as we dry, as we prepare. So there's a preparation, and I think that's the not yet. It's the clearing out and it's the preparation for. And if we can really be with and appreciate and know that that impatience, there's nothing wrong. I was reminded in one of my peer coaching sessions just earlier this week, there's nothing wrong. I always want to try to, okay, what is that? What's in my way?
Yeah.
What's not, what am I not doing? Let me read another book. And it's really just, it's all right, let go and go have some ice cream. It's just knowing that it's okay. There's nothing wrong. We have eternity here. There's no train station to get to. And so it's a beautiful reminder in my not yets to
Yeah.
say there's nothing wrong, and trust that the universe is going to reveal it to you, that you're going to see it if you're looking for it.
This is so funny because I just did a show earlier today and I shared a silly story. Well, it's not silly, but it's silly when you say it. Last night was the first time in close to 40 years that I wore a pair of shorts to play table tennis in competition. Now,
Mm.
look, I got you smiling already, don't I? Right? Right. Okay. But yes, it's true because I realized, and I had to ask myself, it's 90 degrees at this place. They have bad air conditioning. Are you really going to wear those long? I don't know. I mean, people are wearing wick shorts. And I really had to have a conversation with myself. What are you afraid of? What are you
Mm-hmm.
afraid of? Are you afraid
Yeah.
somebody's not going to like your legs? And so it went back to a cellular memory, which I would love for you to talk about, because in the end, I always come back to spirit, but it may take a while. I went back to being bullied as a kid because of the way I looked. I was the ugly duckling with two other sisters. And then I go get two knee replacements during COVID. Do you have any idea what knees look like after you get them replaced?
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody has ever said anything about them, but I carried that childhood. What do you want to call it? I don't know what to call it,
Yeah.
but I carried that until I decided not to anymore.
Yeah.
What you do is help people not wait 40 years to wear those shorts, right? Because
Yeah.
we can do some things, but the most important thing is focusing on the spiritual law, which you're going to talk about now.
Yeah. Yeah. And and really to your point, Dr. Pat, it's one, you had an awareness in that moment and you asked yourself the question, what am I afraid of? It can be that simple. And I think a lot of times we want to make it more complicated, but that's the starting point. And then in coaching, where we go is let's explore that. Okay. Okay, you felt this. How do you want to feel now? How do you want to feel as you wear your shorts playing table tennis? How do you want it to be? And what's in the way of that? And so that's very a high level process of what we do. But when you look at when we ask for something, there was some beautiful information I came upon, and it was if we received what we wanted, like right now, whether it be that relationship or that abundance or whatever it is, that change in our life, would we be able to handle it right now? And I think that's a fair question. If we want to move or if we want this new beginning, energetically, or as you shared, Dr. Pat, tied to the past experiences, can we handle it? I think it's a fair question, and it's a question to ask ourselves. Okay, could I really accept this right now in my life? And that can give us a different perspective on this pause, on this not yet. Well, maybe I'm grateful. A lot of the metaphysical books I read are, it's really a nice safety net down here in this place called Earth, that there is a pause, there's a delay in our manifestations because of we thought something and it manifested. Boy, I don't know about anybody else, but I'd probably be in a pickle sometimes. So, again, it's reframing, and that's a lot of where the coaching comes in.
Yeah.
Reframing. How can we look at this differently to where all of a sudden you're feeling heavy and hunched over? How can I feel a little freer, a little lighter? Oh my gosh, just that little switch in perspective. And so, it's really, when we get to like the action part and supportive coaching is what what brings you back to your center? What can support you as you're changing these neurons, as you're retraining your nervous system to say it's okay, it's safe to receive what you want.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yesterday, okay, going to table tennis, there's no mistakes. I got like my little preacher guy that comes on my Sirius radio. Sirius, I listen to everybody on there. But what do you think he talked about? He talked about the divine blessing. And he went on to talk about stories, which I'm familiar with, but I hear them in a very positive way, right? From this person. Actually, the only people I listen to, but there's a spiritual law and spiritual capacity. And I got in the car and I didn't bring another pair of capris to put on. The other day in practice, I did, and I didn't wear the shorts. I changed my clothes. But this day was different. And there is a blessing in the gap. There is a blessing in the delay. Please talk about how faith, not religion, how faith will always defeat fear.
Yeah, it's the belief. It's having that belief. And it's faith, it's trust. Do you trust that you're taken care of? Do you trust that when you let something go and there's that gap to where maybe you need to make that little jump, do you trust that you're going to be carried through that? And that's a question. I
Yeah.
mean, I know trust can be tough when you really want something and it's not coming, and that fear comes in and that ego comes in. Okay, where are you going to get that next paycheck? Are you going to be by yourself? You're going to stay in that house one more day? You need it now. And what comes up? This fear comes up. And then we do all these things. It's getting back to that center and saying, do I have the faith in that next step? Ask yourself, if you don't know what to do, ask yourself, source, whatever that source is to you, what is my next step? Could be going to the grocery store. It could be something, but it's significant. If we look at the significance, it's not I'll, let me get this right. It's not I'll believe it when I see it. It's I will see it when I believe it. And I think that sums up
Yeah.
having that faith. It's going to happen. We're the ones doing this. It's our mindset and it's our how we want to approach it. And that's our power. That's our superpower.
Yeah.
And when we can keep it clean and centered, it can take us amazing places.
Well, I'll tell you this, I don't take this journey alone. There isn't a single thing I've done that I haven't done with the God of my understanding and some great coaches and mentors. So, Kathy, how do people find you for mentorship, for coaching? Please share that with people today.
Yeah, please visit my website at oursowwhisper.com. Oursowwhisper@gmail.com is my email address. I would love to hear from you, your thoughts on this topic today, thoughts on other topics we talked about. And if there's something that really you're like, gosh, I want to know more about, or we haven't explored this, let me know. I'm happy to talk about what would support you the most. And so I would love the opportunity to coach you and to really see what's there to be cleared so you can really just create a beautiful life for yourself,
Mm.
whatever that looks like for you. So thank you for this conversation today.
Thank you so much, Kathy. This was awesome. I wish we had more time because there is another part to the story which I'm yet to learn, and that is how to hold steadfast in your belief while you're in the gap. And I'm sure you will cover that at some point. Kathy Belmont, everybody, please, spiritual coach. She helps people and supports her clients go through these in-between places. Sometimes we don't even know we're in them. Kathy, thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you.
everything
Thanks,
today.
everyone.
Yep. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you for listening to Our Soul Whisper with Kathy and Dr. Pat. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on transformationtalkradio.com and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Take a moment now to breathe in and reflect on today's message. If it brought you peace, clarity, or insight, let it settle in your heart and maybe even journal about it. Remember to like and share this episode with someone who's ready to listen within. May our soulful echoes ripple outward, awakening awareness and deep remembrance. If this show touched something within you, share it. Let's create a world where most of us pause, listen inward, and allow our light to shine. Visit OurSoulWhisper.com for more.